So while researching some of the USB risers that a lot of miners use, I was looking into the Molex connectors, or what we know as Molex connectors, the 4 pins, and found some interesting information that I want to share with you guys. So first, let's go into this. Here's a sheet. A couple things about Molex. There's different manufacturers that make these peripheral connectors. So Molex, this is what their wire-to-wire connector looks like. Here's Molex's Mini Fit Junior header. It's the right angle version. This is what Molex's one looks like. And let me scroll down to this one. This is the mate and lock version of the same thing. AMP made it, or used to be AMP, but now it's TE connectivity. And for right now, I'm just focusing on the right angle header that would go on the PCB. This is what their version looks like. So TE connectivity, theirs has a 12 amp max per contact with a UL94V-0 flammability rating. So it's got one 12 volt line. If you have 12 amp max per contact, one 12 volt, 12 amps, it's like 144 watt max. The Molex one, so the Molex, if you're just using one of their standard terminals, one of these guys here on a 4 circuit, it's got about a 9 amp max, or 8 amps really if you're using 4 circuits, I believe. Where's that little sheet that I have? I got a little sheet here somewhere, right here. So the Mini Fit Junior, 4 circuits, if you're using 16 gauge or 18 gauge, it wants you to max out your amperage at about 8 right there, which would be, I think, 132 watt max for this guy right there. I'm probably completely wrong on that. But anyway, you go down. Actually, let me do the thing here. 132 times 8. 96. Nope. So nowhere near 132. 96. 12 volts times 8 amps, which would be 96 watts. Unless you're using Molex's high current system terminals, which actually have a 12 amp max on an 18 gauge wire, then you could bump that up to 144 watts, because these do have a 13 amp max. With 4 circuits would probably be one step lower, probably be a little bit lower than the maximum 144. But anyway, so these two are about the same. They're similar in quality, I would say. They both got the same flammability rating. But these ones aren't the ones that we see on the risers that we use. What we see on risers is this. This is what we're working with. So I did some research and I wanted to find what this is. I looked on the TE Connectivity website through their products. I looked through Molex's products, and neither of them make something that looks like this. Until I just Google searched Chinese Molex, connector, or Chinese peripheral connector, and then I came across KLS Electronic and found out that they were a Chinese manufacturer. So, right, these are the Molex connectors that are used with most USB risers. And when we look through all of them, the female-male housing, vertical header, right angle header, and the female-male terminals are all rated for 5 amps. That's twice as less as the regular and actual Molex one or a mate and lock one would be. Let's see. Also has a temperature limit of 105 degrees Celsius with a UL94V-2 flammability rating. So I was trying to find a picture of these. I'm like, well, what is this one? And then I went to their website, which you can see. Let's see. I think I still got it up. So I just search. Let's see. That's where I got the picture from. Yeah, Chinese Molex header. This was one of the pictures that came up. So I followed the website. It took me to their KLS Electronic website, which you can see if I blow up the picture. This looks, because it's got that little strip on the side there behind that little clip. This is pretty much exactly what this is using. It looks like identical. It looks the exact same. So if that's it, then I wanted to figure out the specification for it. So I clicked on the PDF file, and this is the PDF file. This is the PDF file for the male housing, the female housing, male terminals, female terminals, the straight male pin, which would be a vertical mount, and then your right male pin, which would be the right angle mount. So the little picture here shows the black ones, but this PDF file is for all of these products right here. So, and then this is just a general consensus, but if we look at this right here, so electrical specification, rated current is 5 amps. Temperature range, negative 40 degrees Celsius to 105 degrees Celsius. Here's the flammability rating. They're using brass. At least that's pretty decent. Wire gauge. So this even says to use wire gauge 30 to 22, not even 18 or 16. It wants you to use really small wires with this. But it's the same for all of them. Here's the vertical mount, 5 amps. The pins are 5 amps. At least that's what it says. I don't know if they just copy and paste it or what, but 5 amps. Female housing, male housing. But anyway, that's the actual one. I'm pretty sure that we use on our risers. This guy. This isn't a real Molex connector. It's not a mate and lock connector. It's a Chinese KLS electronic connector that's rated for 5 amps. So if it's rated for 5 amps, we have one 12-volt line in there, which means we're going to get 60 watts, which means this thing will be rated for about 60 watts, which we know the PCIe 16X slot here can draw up to 75 watts. It's barely above what a SATA connector would be, which we're trying to stay away from the SATAs because we know the SATA connectors are only rated for 54 watts, which is where people are having their melting issues. So yeah, granted, this one's a little bit better than SATA, but it's still not 75 watts for what the slot can actually pull, which is crazy. So I just wanted to share some of that information because I was doing some research on it, making this sheet. I put briefly here just, the differences between them. The Molex header, which is an 8 amp max with the standard terminals, will give you 96 watts. If you use the high current systems terminals, you'll get about 13 amps, which will bump you up to 156 watts. The mate and lock headers have a 12 amp max rating, which would be good for 144 watts. And the KLS electronic ones only have a 5 amp max, which will give you about a 60 watt limit, which is under the 75 watt PCIe 16X slot requirement. So that just kind of blew my mind that I saw this and that these risers, this isn't real Molex. It's just cheap plastic stuff that isn't up to par with what the ratings are that we think they are. Take the information as you will. I hope you enjoyed that short video. Thank you very much.